Welcome to the deep dive. Our goal today is to cut through the sheer complexity of a truly disturbing case and find the essential story.
We're looking at how faith, superstition, and, well, collective psychology can intersect in terrifying ways.
Exactly. We're asking a fundamental question today. Can a shared belief, a kind of mass delusion, actually lead an entire family down a path to violence and death?
And the case we're diving into, the Wu family story, is a chilling example. On the surface, just a normal family in their neighborhood.
Right.
But their intense spiritual practices spiraled into something unimaginable. Chaos, violence, the death of their eldest daughter, and a scene that, frankly, shocked even seasoned police officers.
And the very first sign something was wrong, the thing that brought any attention at all, was just bizarre in itself.
Yeah, it started with Mr. Wu, the father. He runs over to a neighbor's house, middle of the night, banging on the door, desperate.
Asking for an ambulance,
Yeah.
right? Frantic.
Totally frantic. But then the neighbor opens the door, ready to help, and he's gone. Just vanished. Instantly. That was the hook. Clearly not your standard emergency call. Something deeply strange was happening in that house.
Okay, so that neighbor, obviously concerned after that disappearance, they go check on the Wu house later.
They did. And the moment they got close, the first thing that hit them wasn't sight, it was the senses. Smell and sound.
What kind of smell?
Debilitating, apparently. Just an overwhelming stench. And mixed with that, the constant, loud buzzing of flies. Everywhere, even outside the house.
Wow, okay. And when the police finally got inside, what did they find? Because the initial impression of this family was, well, pretty normal, wasn't it?
Absolutely. That's what made it so jarring. You had one daughter with a good job in Taipei, another daughter working as a nurse, a third in college, the son employed at a printing house. Seemed like a typical, successful, middle-class family.
So the shock of seeing the inside must have been huge, realizing something fundamental had just broken down.
Completely. The house itself was like a sealed container. First thing they noticed. All the windows were totally covered.
Covered how?
With layers and layers of yellow paper, blocking out all the light, all the air. It was like they were trying to shut out the entire outside world, reality itself.
And were there signs of their beliefs? Protective symbols, things like that?
Oh, definitely. All over the place. On the windows, they found these weird signs painted, specifically red Bagua diagrams.
Those are the trigrams, right? Yin and yang lines used in Feng Shui for protection.
Exactly. The 8 trigrams. Red is often used for, powerful protection, warding off evil. It showed intense focus on defense against something malevolent.
So they felt under spiritual attack.
Intensely so. They also found these carved black cloths, kind of like flags, scattered around, meant to ward off ghosts, specifically.
Okay, wow. And the floor?
The entire floor, wall to wall, was covered in rice and salt.
Rice and salt. Common for cleansing rituals, but covering the whole floor.
Yeah, the sheer quantity was overwhelming. It wasn't just a sprinkle. It was like they'd been doing this constantly, maybe for months, trying to purify the space relentlessly.
Okay, the smell, the flies, where did that lead investigators?
To the dining area. And this is where it gets truly stomach-churning.
How so?
The dining table was set, like ready for a family meal, plates, bowls, everything in place.
Yeah.
But instead of food, the dishes were filled with human feces and urine.
Oh my God. Served. Like it was food.
Served. It wasn't a random mess. It was intentional, ritualistic defilement, a purposeful act that clearly everyone in that house was participating in.
And the source of that overpowering smell.
It wasn't just the dishes, it was the walls. The entire house, every room, ceiling to floor, smeared and dripping with human feces.
They were living inside of that.
They had literally encased themselves in filth. The psychological implications are just staggering. They completely inverted normal human behavior, believing absolute defilement was somehow protecting them.
And the victim, the eldest daughter.
She was found in the first room, the autopsy.
Wow.
Well, it painted a grim picture of what she endured.
How long had she been deceased?
About 2 days, the medical examiner estimated, decomposing in that sealed, hot, filthy house.
And the condition of her body.
Covered in bruises, severe bruises, suggesting repeated, really extreme beatings over time.
Beatings. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yes, and this was distinctive. Burn marks. Numerous burn marks all over her body, but they were all identical. Same size, same shape.
Identical? How?
It suggested a specific tool used repeatedly in a ritualistic way. Later, they determined it was the burning tip of incense sticks, used systematically.
So beatings and burns, was that the cause of death?
Surprisingly, no. The external injuries were horrific, but the coroner concluded the cause of death was multiple organ failure.
Organ failure. Why? What caused that?
It linked directly back to the ritual defilement. The investigation found her entire digestive tract,
Meaning?
from her nostrils down her throat into her stomach. Everything was coated in that same mixture of human feces and urine.
She ingested it.
Yes, there was no normal food found in her system, only feces. It appears she had been consuming this possibly for weeks, maybe even a month.
And that led to organ failure.
It poisoned her system, led to the massive systemic failure that killed her. It wasn't starvation in the typical sense. It was a fatal cleansing ritual.
Unbelievable. A fortress of filth and belief leading to death by poison. Okay, so this horror scene is discovered. Did the neighbors have any inkling before this? Had they noticed anything strange?
Oh, absolutely. Once police started asking, stories came out. Neighbors had been aware of strange things for a while, but maybe didn't understand the severity.
Like what kind of things?
Unexplained noises, for one. Constant, loud chanting coming from the house, often overnight, suggesting intense rituals happening while the neighborhood slept.
Anything else? Physical acts?
Yes, one neighbor specifically mentioned seeing the family performing a ritual involving throwing ice-cold water on shivering family members outside.
Cold water. What's the significance of that?
In some folk beliefs, it's meant to shock an evil spirit out of a possessed body, or sometimes test endurance, prove the body isn't purely human anymore.
And how did the neighbors feel talking about this?
Visibly nervous, fearful even. Whatever was happening in the Wu house, it was creating a palpable sense of unease, of something deeply wrong in the community.
So let's trace this back. How did this spiral begin? What was the catalyst for this shared delusion?
It seems to have started relatively small with the youngest daughter. She began having recurring dreams.
Dreams about what?
About a figure called the Third Prince.
The Third Prince. Ne Zha. Well, we should probably explain who that is, because he's a pretty significant figure, right?
Hugely significant, yes, Ne Zha. He's a major protection deity in Chinese folk religion and Taoism, especially seen as a guardian of children and families.
But his story is complicated, isn't it? Not just straightforward protection.
Not at all. It's very dramatic. Legend says he was in the womb for 3 years and 6 months, born as a ball of flesh. His own father thought he was a demon and tried to kill him. Yeah. Ne Zha eventually takes his own life to appease his family and the gods for transgressions, but is later reborn from lotus roots and becomes this incredibly powerful, sometimes rebellious, but ultimately protective figure. He embodies both chaos and redemption.
So the youngest daughter keeps dreaming about this powerful, chaotic, protective god. How did the family interpret that?
Not just as dreams. Because they were continuous, they saw it as a serious omen, a sign of an impending threat.
A threat how?
Either that they needed drastic protection or something more sinister, that the youngest daughter's soul had become unstable, maybe even left her body, leaving her vulnerable to something else getting in.
And their reaction, given their beliefs?
Immediate and aligned with tradition, they took her straight to a local temple for a soul-calling ritual.
To try and bring her soul back, secure it.
Exactly, before it was lost for good. And during that ritual, the priest involved did 2 crucial things. First, he confirmed their fears. Yes, there was danger.
Okay, validating their anxiety.
But then he made it specific. He gave them a direct warning. The eldest daughter, the one working far away in Taipei, seemingly uninvolved, she was the one in greatest danger.
Wow. So the priest pinpoints the threat onto someone who wasn't even there.
Precisely. And that external validation from a trusted religious authority seems to be the moment their generalized fear became a targeted delusion aimed squarely at the eldest daughter.
So the mother hears this warning about her eldest daughter in Taipei. What does she do?
Panics. Complete panic, fueled by that priest's validation. She immediately calls the daughter.
Tells her to come home.
More than that. Warns her that staying in Taipei even a minute longer would lead to something very bad. Her belief was absolute. She didn't just call, she apparently drove out there herself to physically bring her daughter back.
Pulled her right back into the situation. And what happened when the eldest daughter got home?
The symptoms started almost immediately, that very first night.
What kind of symptoms?
Screaming, night terrors, thrashing in her sleep. She claimed she was being attacked in her dreams.
Okay, so psychological distress, clearly.
Definitely. And it escalated. Severe sleep deprivation kicked in, and then she started hurting herself, slapping, punching herself.
Why?
Maybe trying to stay awake, fight off sleep, or perhaps, in her mind, fighting whatever she felt was attacking her internally.
Did the family have an explanation for this sudden onset?
Initially, they looked for a simpler superstitious cause, They'd recently moved a statue of the third prince in the house. They blamed the disturbance on that.
So they moved it back.
Yes, they restored the statue to its original place, and for a short time, things actually seemed to stabilize. The daughter felt better, started preparing to go back to Taipei, thinking the crisis was averted.
Temporary reprieve.
Very temporary, because right before she was supposed to leave, something pivotal happened. She received a phone call.
Do we know who called or what was said?
The sources don't specify, only the immediate aftermath. She hangs up the phone, turns to her family, and declares, quite calmly apparently, "I am the goddess of mercy."
Whoa, okay. The goddess of mercy, Guanyin. That's huge in their belief system, right? The embodiment of compassion.
Absolutely. Arguably the kindest, most beloved deity. So the family's interpretation, this wasn't possession by something evil, this was a divine manifestation. Their daughter had become a jitong.
A spirit medium. A vessel for the divine.
Exactly. A direct channel between the human world and the gods or ancestors. For them, this was an incredible spiritual event, a confirmation of their deep connection to the divine.
But mediumship beliefs, they can involve some pretty extreme practices too, can't they? Things that look like self-harm from the outside.
Definitely. That's the darker side, or at least the side that justifies violence. Mediums are often believed to be operating beyond normal human limitations, immune to pain because they're channeling a higher power.
Right, like cutting their tongues to write charms in blood, piercing their skin.
Yeah.
Those acts are seen as proof of possession by a deity.
Precisely. Proof that they are no longer just in human form. So when the eldest daughter's self-harm started again, and this time escalated dramatically.
How extreme?
Head banging against walls until she bled, scratching her skin raw. Intense, violent self-injury.
And the family's reaction this time? Still goddess of mercy.
No, this level of violence, the self-destruction, it just didn't align with the compassionate nature of Guanyin. Their interpretation shifted again, and this time it was far more terrifying.
What did they conclude?
They decided it wasn't the goddess of mercy at all. A demon, a powerful, malevolent entity, had somehow slipped in and was masquerading as the goddess of mercy, hiding behind the kindest name possible.
That's a terrifying thought. The ultimate deception.
Exactly. A demon disguised as the light. That made it, in their minds, the most dangerous threat imaginable.
So they believe a demon is hiding inside their daughter, pretending to be a god. What's their next move?
Isolation. They decide to send all three daughters, the eldest, the nurse, and the youngest one who had the initial dreams, away.
Away where?
To a place called Five Finger Mountain, for a month of meditation.
Five Finger Mountain. Is that just a peaceful retreat?
Not exactly. It has a reputation. Culturally, it's seen as having very potent, very volatile spiritual energy, both positive and highly negative.
Negative how?
It's believed to be a place where the spirits of those who died unfairly or violently linger. Unfinished business, seeking revenge, that kind of thing.
So sending three potentially vulnerable young women there was a huge risk.
An extraordinary risk, especially if they already believed one was possessed. It's like sending them into a spiritual battleground.
And while the daughters were away, what were the parents doing?
Trying to cleanse the house. They hired a spiritual master, someone experienced in removing negative energy, to come and purify the home before the girls returned.
Okay, bringing in an expert, what happened?
This is another major turning point. The master arrived, took one look at the house, and refused to go inside.
Refuse. Why?
He claimed he saw a hulijing, a fox spirit guarding the entrance.
A fox spirit, what does that signify?
In their folklore, fox spirits are often symbols of chaos, illusion, trickery, sometimes feeding on human life force. Extremely bad news.
So the master confirms their worst fears.
Absolutely. He told the parents the house was filled with horrible demons and warned them that if they stayed, the entities would consume the entire family from within. External, professional validation that their home itself was compromised.
And this must have played right into their existing anxieties about the house, right? Their beliefs about feng shui and bad luck.
Exactly. They were already deeply invested in how physical surroundings affected spiritual well-being. Broken objects, furniture placement bringing bad luck. They were hyper aware of that.
And the house's location, was that significant?
The master pointed it out specifically. The house was built on a T intersection.
A T-point. Why is that bad?
In traditional feng shui, a house at the end of a T-junction receives a constant, direct flow of negative energy, like a spiritual highway pointed straight at the front door. It's believed to attract ghosts, sickness, misfortune.
So the location itself was seen as making them vulnerable.
Yes. The idea was that this constant bombardment of negative energy tired out the resident spirits, making them easy targets for possession by demons or malevolent entities. The house itself was practically inviting trouble, according to their beliefs.
Wow. So the master refuses to go in, sees a fox spirit, confirms the house is full of demons and badly located. Did he do anything?
Eventually, yes. He agreed to perform an exorcism, but only from the outside. He wouldn't cross the threshold.
And the family, after this outside exorcism, how did they try to maintain the cleanse?
They went into overdrive. They started burning 9 incense sticks continuously. 9 is a powerful number, symbolizing completion, permanence. It's a major offering to please high-ranking deities.
Burning constantly.
Constantly. And crucially, they sealed the house up again. Every vent, every tiny opening, sealed shut.
Why? To keep the demons out.
To keep the smoke in. They wanted that powerful, purifying incense aroma to permeate every inch of the house, continuously cleansing it from the inside.
Okay, so they feel the house is cleansed, fortified. They bring the daughters back from Five Finger Mountain.
Yes, after their month of meditation on that spiritually charged mountain, they bring them home, hoping the cleanse worked.
Did it?
Not for long. A few days later, the relapse was sudden and collective. All 3 daughters woke up one night simultaneously.
Doing what?
Chanting incantations together and repeating the same chilling phrase over and over. This is not our real home.
All 3 saying it. Together.
Yes. This was the moment it became undeniable. The shared delusion had fully taken hold and spread. There's a belief that repeating a curse or a powerful statement like that together binds everyone involved, makes them share the consequences equally.
And this collective chanting, it triggered something in the parents too.
It seems to have triggered a complete psychological break in everyone. Amidst the chaos of the daughters chanting, the parents suddenly made their own declarations.
They claimed possession too.
Yes, but not by demons. They claimed they were possessed by the highest deities imaginable. Mr. Wu declared, "I am the Jade Emperor."
The Jade Emperor, the supreme ruler of heaven in their cosmology.
The ultimate authority. Merciful, fair, but absolute power. He essentially appointed himself the judge and ruler of the household situation.
And Mrs. Wu.
She declared, "I am the Queen Mother of the West."
Jiwangmu, the ancient powerful goddess controlling life, death, creation, destruction.
Exactly. One of the oldest and most powerful figures. So now you have the 2 supreme beings supposedly inhabiting the parents.
This is unbelievable. The whole family is now possessed.
Pretty much. The children quickly followed suit. The daughters and the son claimed other divine identities. The eldest was now the Queen of Mercy again, the 7th fairy. The youngest became the 3rd prince, finally. And the son claimed to be Jigong, the drunken monk.
So the house is now filled with a council of gods.
A divine council, yes. And this collective possession, this divine status, gave them the ultimate justification for what came next.
Which was?
The Jade Emperor, Mr. Wu, explained the situation. All these powerful deities had gathered in their family because one member was secretly possessed by a demon. This demon was hiding, maybe even pretending to be one of the gods.
Ah, so the mission was internal.
Exactly. The entire family, now believing themselves to be gods, had a divinely ordained mission. Find the imposter, root out the hidden demon amongst them using any means necessary. That was their horrifying shared purpose.
And this justification, this divine mission, it led to the 2 months of horror described earlier.
It unleashed it. For the next 2 months, they systematically turned the house into, well, a living hell, all under the guise of righteous exorcism. Their guiding principle was chillingly simple in their minds. Demons hate cleanliness, and they hate pain inflicted by divine power.
So the rituals we talked about, the rice and salt everywhere.
That was step 1, continuously purifying the environment, making it painful for the demon, sprinkling it, pasting it on walls, on each other.
And the violence, the beatings.
That was the direct attack. They set up a daily rotation. Each day, a different family member would be chosen as the potential host of the demon.
Chosen by whom? The Jade Emperor.
Presumably. That person would be forced to kneel, and the others, the gods, would beat them. Significantly, they used loose hands, open palms.
Why open palm?
The belief was they weren't hitting the human body, but striking through it at the demon hiding inside. The pain was meant for the demon, proof of the divine power confronting it.
And the incense burns. Those identical marks.
Same logic. Burning the demon out. The incense stick, representing divine fire or energy, was applied directly to the skin. The fact they all endure it and all bore the same marks reinforced their shared belief that they were operating beyond human limitations, that the pain was only truly felt by the hidden entity.
But the violence wasn't enough. The demon wasn't expelled?
Apparently not, so they escalated. They moved to extreme defilement.
Based on what logic?
An inverted one. If deities love purity and cleanliness, then demons must absolutely despise filth. So, to make the environment utterly unbearable for the demon, they weaponized filth.
Which explains the feces on the walls in the food.
Exactly. Coating the walls, serving feces and urine at the dinner table, even applying it directly to each other. It was a constant, desperate attempt to create an environment so repulsive that the demon would be forced out.
And the final, fatal step.
The belief that they needed to cleanse the host from the inside. Poison the demon where it lived.
Which led to them consuming
only human feces and urine. They stopped eating all normal food. For an entire month leading up to the eldest daughter's death, this was their sole sustenance, believing they were purifying the vessel and poisoning the demon within.
That sustained consumption is what caused the organ failure.
Directly, it was a slow, horrific poisoning disguised as a sacred ritual.
And the rest of the family, they were doing this too. They survived.
They were all participating, they all had the same injuries, the same burn marks, they all likely consumed the waste to some degree. They survived, yes, but clearly suffered immense physical trauma alongside the psychological ordeal.
But when it was over, when the eldest daughter died, they felt relief.
A twisted kind of relief, yes. In their shared delusion, they believed they had finally succeeded. They had driven the demon out of the eldest daughter.
So why did she die, in their view?
Because, they claimed, she was the first one possessed, the original host. And when the demon was finally expelled after such a long battle, her own soul, which had been displaced, failed to return to her body.
So her death wasn't murder. It was a spiritual complication, a soul retrieval failure.
In their minds, yes. The mission was successful, the demon was gone. Her death was just an unfortunate, unforeseen consequence of the spiritual warfare, not their fault.
That's profoundly disturbing. Okay, so the police find the body, the horrific scene. It takes them a few days to find the rest of the family.
Yeah, 3 days. They eventually located them back at the temple where the daughters had initially been sent to meditate.
And when the police found them, what was their state?
Physically, they showed the signs of the ordeal. Critically, police noted they all had the exact same pattern of identical burn marks that were found on the deceased daughter. Clear evidence of shared participation.
Were they able to talk to them, get the story?
Not easily. Mr. Wu, the Jade Emperor, was still completely trapped in the delusion and terrified.
Terrified of the police.
Terrified of the demon. He refused to answer questions initially, screaming at the police that if they asked about what happened, the demon, the curse, would transfer to them.
He genuinely believed talking about it will endanger the police.
Absolutely. He was more scared of the supernatural repercussions than any legal ones. Standard interrogation wasn't going to work.
So how did the police get them to talk? You mentioned an unusual tactic.
They had to operate within the family's belief system. They brought in something called an emperor's ruler.
What is that?
It's a ceremonial item, a wooden ruler, often carved with deities or protective inscriptions. It's used in some folk practices to command spirits or cleanse negative energy, a symbol of legitimate spiritual authority.
So the police used this ruler?
Not because they believed in it, but because they knew the family would. They placed it in the interrogation room. By using this symbol, they essentially presented themselves as being under divine protection, negating Mr. Wu's fear that talking would harm them.
They used the family's own spiritual logic to gain compliance.
Exactly, a very clever psychological move, and it worked. Once the family felt spiritually safe talking to the police because of the ruler, they started revealing the horrific details of those 2 months.
And once they had the story, what about psychiatric evaluation? Was there any diagnosis of mental illness?
This is one of the most startling aspects of the case. They were thoroughly evaluated by psychiatrists. The finding was no evidence of any underlying mental illness, no schizophrenia, no clinical hallucinations, no diagnosable disorder in any of them.
So they were deemed normal.
Collectively normal, yes. The only abnormality was the shared, intense, unshakable belief that a demon was present, that they were deities, and that their actions were necessary. A collective delusion, not individual psychosis.
How did that impact the legal case? They were initially charged with murder, weren't they?
They were, but the charges were eventually dropped. The court had to consider the unique circumstances.
Based on what?
They acknowledged the cause of death, multiple organ failure from consuming the waste. But critically, based on the evidence and the psychiatric evaluations, the court determined that the eldest daughter was not an unwilling victim being tortured.
She was a participant.
A willing participant in the shared delusion. She believed she was possessed, or was a medium, or was fighting the demon alongside her family. She wasn't seen as being externally coerced into the beatings, the burns, or the consumption. She believed in it too.
So because it was a shared delusion with the victim participating, it wasn't legally murder.
That was the court's finding. Her death was ruled the tragic outcome of this collective, unintentional delusion, the failure of her soul to return, as the family believed, rather than a malicious act by the others.
And the family? What happened to them?
They were cleared of the murder charges, and according to the sources, they essentially returned to their lives, tried to live normally, as if this entire 2-month nightmare and the death of their daughter and sister was just a closed chapter, a spiritual battle they had fought and, in their minds, won despite the casualty.
That return to normalcy is almost the most chilling part. It confirms how absolute the break from reality was. For them, the demon was real, the gods were real, and their actions were justified.
Yeah, the Wu family case is just a devastating look at how powerful collective belief can be, how it can completely override basic survival instincts, familial bonds, and physical reality itself. It shows how a shared psychological breakdown, especially when validated by external figures like priests or masters, can literally become a fatal disease.
The entire justification rested on finding that one hidden demon among them, while they all claimed to be powerful, good deities working together. Jade Emperor, Queen Mother of the West, all united. And they explained the death as a soul failing to return after the demon was expelled. They closed the book on it.
They did, but it leaves you with a really disturbing question.
Which is?
If the entire family, all these self-proclaimed good deities, were involved in such extreme, systematic violence that led to death, and they were all searching for the one hidden evil,
Yeah.
is it possible that the real demonic influence, the actual source of the driving malice, wasn't the entity they thought they expelled from the victim? Could it have been hiding within one of the other family members, perhaps even one claiming the highest divine authority, using that status to orchestrate the horror?
So you're asking, which god in that house might actually have been the demon pulling the strings all along?
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Given the outcome, who do you suspect might have been hiding behind a divine name?